So it turns out that there's actually a part two to the Fox News interview that Donald Trump did with Sean Hannity. We looked at part one yesterday, and we are going to look at a little bit of part two today. This is a part of the interview that is significantly more understated in tone, but it is significantly scarier to many of you who have been emailing me and saying, David, what exactly is Trump talking about? And is he really serious about this stuff? Also, of course, raising questions of Trump's cognitive state, as is always the case. Were they Freudian slips? Were they brain glitches? Well, we're going to figure that out. The second part of the interview included Donald Trump bizarrely claiming that he got rid of NATO and built USMCA. Now, Sean Hannity helps Trump out, and as you can see, Trump looks very confused. Hannity helps Trump out and says, you mean NAFTA, not NATO. You got rid of NAFTA and built USMCA. But even that actually isn't really much to write home about, and I'll explain that in a moment. Check out this bizarre moment where Hannity quite literally has to help Trump out of this mess.
So if I made a lot of great trade deals, I changed a lot of those deals where it was a bad deal for us. Now it's a good, like USMCA with NATO. I got rid of NATO and built USMCA. I made a great trade deal with China. Yeah. Our farmers are, to this day, they
notice though that Hannity tried to sneak in NAFTA. Trump just steamrolls it.
Made tremendous money because of the deal, but because of COVID, I don't even talk about that deal because that overrode everything.
Right.
So, if I made a lot of
completely insane what Donald Trump is talking about. Says he got rid of NATO to replace it with USMCA. Of course, he didn't. What he did was replace NAFTA with USMCA. A couple interesting things here. Number one, of course, to some degree, you could say this is a Freudian slip. Donald Trump was one of the most hostile to NATO American presidents. And when he says, I got rid of NATO, he would have liked to get rid of NATO, to have gotten rid of NATO. He didn't. And instead, it's just a Freudian slip. The other aspect to this is that the continued claim that replacing NAFTA with USMCA is some kind of major accomplishment. It's basically NAFTA with marginally different provisions about automobile manufacturing with a new name. And it is true that USMCA differs from NAFTA in that it changes the requirements for vehicle manufacturing, what percentage of the parts versus the labor needs to be done where. But it is very similar to NAFTA. And again, claiming it as some kind of big legislative victory is very, very silly. I almost thought that it was like doctored, but it was just a Freudian slip, I guess. Donald Trump also saying that if he's elected, you know how Trump does this thing where he can't help himself. He always has to make the promise more grandiose, and he has to make the claim more grandiose. There were 5,000 people at my rally. There were tens of thousands. There were tens of thousands, and it's probably double that. He just can't stick to reality. He used to say he would fix the Russian invasion of Ukraine on his first day as president. Now he's saying he would fix it even before taking office, which is, again, he always has to go further.
Said I would fix that within 24 hours. And if I win, before I get into the office, I will have that war settled. 100% sure. Mm-hmm. And everything I said.
Yeah. Of course, that's not the case. It doesn't make any sense. And Sean Hannity really doing his best. You know, the Hannity thing is interesting. This two-night special interview with Donald Trump, it does serve as evidence that at least overtly, Hannity is still on the Trump train. We know that Hannity was involved in the Fox News text messages behind the scenes that are part of the Dominion lawsuit. He expressed concern about some of the things that were being repeated. He expressed concern about Sidney Powell and so on and so forth. But at least publicly, he seems to be very glad to give Trump these total softball interviews, allow Trump to lie, and present no pushback. And so it's interesting in the context of what is the next year going to look like if indeed this is a heavily contested primary. Right now, I don't call the Republican primary contested in the sense that there are other people running, but it's Nikki Haley and Vivek Ramaswamy. Neither has a shot. DeSantis is polling pretty well, but he's not actually running. So if DeSantis says I'm running and if his polling doesn't continue declining, then we will say, okay, now we've got a real primary on our hands. So far, I can't really say that that's the case. Trump's theory on Chinese politics is that Xi is in charge because the smartest person gets to the top. And I sort of think Trump is trying to analogize to himself here. Trump sees himself as a very stable genius, and he seems to be analogizing that also in the United States, the smartest person gets to the top, as evidenced by Trump having been president for 4 years.
I think it's an age thing. I think a person running for president, you could even say running for certain offices if you want to know the truth. Now, I don't know if it's constitutional, because people would say it's not constitutional. But I would say that if you could do it, but I'd like to see it for anybody running for president. I think somebody from running for president taking a cognitive test, they do it in China, but it's done a different way. They have a caste system.
Isn't that nice, guys? The caste system of China will allow you to figure out who is fit for duty and who is smart. It's not even sort of like benevolent dictator stuff. It's just straight up. She is great. China's caste system. This is wild stuff. Scary to the rest of the world.
And the smartest person gets to the top.
I'm glad they don't have a talk show host and the media people and people in the press.
You've proven yourself at the highest level you can.
So Trump just gushing about the intelligence of Xi, as well as the caste system. Genuinely horrifying stuff. Lastly, Donald Trump tells Hannity, there wouldn't have been any Chinese spy balloons under my watch. And of course, there were Chinese spy balloons under Trump's watch.
And what would you have done with the balloon? And what would you have done if Putin took down one of your drones?
The balloon.
I wouldn't have done anything with the balloon because it wouldn't have happened under me. Wouldn't have happened. They wouldn't have sent the balloon. This is a big balloon. This is a balloon where you can see it from,
it's like 3 buses.
75,000 feet away. People are looking. But it's strange. You see it up there.
We only found out because of a guy in Montana.
They wouldn't have done it. I'm just telling you. Just like Putin would have never gone into Ukraine.
So Trump says they wouldn't have done it, except they did. Now, it is true, Trump didn't find out about it until later. That's absolutely true. I'm not pretending Trump knew about the balloons when he was president. We have now learned that there were multiple instances of Chinese spy balloons overflying the United States while Trump was president. Trump's claim, understand, is they wouldn't have done it if I were president, but they did it when you were president. He wasn't told. There was some kind of decision made by, I guess it was the Pentagon, that it didn't need to get to Trump, but they literally did it while Trump was president. And he wants you to believe they simply wouldn't do it if he was president again. Scary interview. The romanticizing, the continued romanticizing of authoritarians and wannabe dictators, and seeing them as just smart and great, and they've got these great systems. They don't have to deal with the press. They just crush the press. They don't have to deal with courts that might indict them. They just control the courts. He loves dictator type scenarios because he sees them as the easiest thing for him if he were to govern. And he's not wrong. Wasn't it George W. Bush who said it'd be much easier if it was a dictatorship? Trump seems to really want that.